Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Rakah Kwadash. And double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and as well as giving the salutations thereof towards the Yakim that's forwarding this truth worldwide. And shalom to the Yakim, Wahak Wafiam, that are heeding to the scriptures and overall these lessons that we give unto you. And it's your brother Laban. I'm actually another video in regards to more on the CBDCs. And I had to speak on this because this involves the dollar going digital. And as well as you already know, even down there in the UK, they're going to get digital with the pound, as the rest of the world is anyway. So you have two experts, as this reads, digital dollar will come eventually, experts say, as I've watched this video, which is 12 minutes in, and they both agree. They see the trend of where the digital currencies are going, and for America to be exact, and that they see the dollar turning into the digital setting. Okay. And, you have Josh Lipsky, which he's into the, he's, I forgot what it's called. But as I read it, it should be in this article anyway. So you'll see where he's coming from. Anyway, it's more a question of when rather than if a central bank digital currency will be established in the U.S. Michael Greco, policy research director at the Digital Dollar Project, told Coindex TV's First Mover on Tuesday. Greco said that there is a potential in the next few years for a digital dollar in the U.S. And those next few years, this is just my analysis, could be probably some months in, or maybe a year and a half, because they're moving too quick with this thing. And they don't really want to scare people too tough that this can come suddenly, in the U.S., but that the Federal Reserve is waiting for Congress to enact legislation before it can move forward. He doesn't expect Congress to pass such a law next year, but said he expects the conversation to advance on Capitol Hill, especially in regards to privacy in 2023. And they will roll this thing out. You can bet on that. Definitely. Okay. No ifs or buts about that. So as it reads on the same program, Josh Lipsky, there you go, that's his name, senior director of the Atlantic Council of Geoeconomics. So this is where he's coming from. So you already know he knows what he's talking about. And as well as the other guy, Michael Greco, which he's a research director at the Digital Dollar Project. And they both agree that there's a possibility of a digital dollar. Said that CBDCs have made huge leaps in other parts of the world, such as South Korea and Europe. And I'm going to say this too, like, you don't really have to be an expert too tough in this kind of stuff. Some brothers know a little bit more than other brothers about this. But, all you have to basically do is see where society's going. And where society's going is going around the electronic route, the digital route. So of course the currency is gonna be the same. Okay. And as well as we are wide awake, our eyes are open to what this devil is doing, which is in the process of fulfilling prophecy, as John the Revelator saw it himself on the island of Patmos. And this is the focus right now. This is the focus, and should be the focus. Every camp should be on the same thing, teaching the same thing, and focusing on what's important, prophecies. And but GMS, as always, we've always been on top of things on these prophecies, and we will continue to do so, because this is a job that we was called to do. And these other camps, they're just not going to do that, because the Lord ain't really, let's just be honest, dealing with them on that regard. All right. They're focusing on other stuff, and as well as Jake does anyway. You got a lot of these Jakes that are focusing on this, news that are just small. I just watched a little bit of the New Year's Eve of destruction of the elder Rakar Makapasha, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And the elder spoke about on what Jake is focusing on with Tory Lanez. And I did see the video. His father was just angry at the fact that the court didn't go accordingly to how he expected it to go for his son. So, Jake is making a big deal whether Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion's foot or not, which is some small bullshit. It ain't got nothing to do with what's really going on out here. Like we're talking about events that's going to change the world, and most importantly, it's prophecy. Okay, and that should be the focus. But Jake obviously isn't wise enough to really focus on these kind of subject matters because they're just simple. So it reads, he said next year the European Central Bank may move forward to pilot the phase of a digital euro from a development phase, which would be a major step given the size of the European Union. He said U.S. authorities will be looking to see how the electronic central bank tackles privacy concerns of a digital currency and how it would interact with the banking system. He also sees the potential of a wholesale CBDCs, which basically means that the banks can transact between each other. As it actually breaks it down, which would be used in, I didn't even know that, which would be used in transaction between banks as opposed to a retail CBDCs, which would be used by consumers in everyday transaction, like buying a cup of coffee. So this thing is going to be an all arounder. It's going to be, between the banks and as well as you buying and selling with it. So this coexists, or this is connected. Let me use another word. This is in connection with Revelations 13 and 16. He calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, to free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, because they're going to transform this world, whether the people realize it or not, because it's never really been about the people, as people have been taught to believe that, except that the people are in leadership rather than the government, and the government is supposed to support the people. But that's not what's really happening. What's happening is that the government is in tandem with the central bank, and the central banker's orders is being activated right before the people. Okay, as I've said, and I'll say this again, that's why every prime minister that came in, they spoke a good game and they did something else, because they don't serve the people, they serve the banks. They serve the Rothschilds that control these central banks, which is in every other country. There's hundreds of these central banks all around. So if you wondering why there's so much corruption in the world, because these politicians are being told what to do by these central bankers. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So that's where it's going, man. It's going to get to the point where you will have to come under this technological world by receiving an implant to buy and sell. So there you go. And I just want to add this in as well, this article, why the U.S. is eyeing a digital currency, a digital dollar, with the fewer consumers using cash on a regular basis and more countries adopting virtual currency, as they've conditioned us to do. The New York Federal Reserve banks and several other major banks last month launched a 12-week pilot program, and I remember doing an article on that as well, to test the use of a digital dollar. But some experts and activists question whether a digital currency will live up to its potential, like making banking more affordable. The program is the latest step by the central bank to begin its rollout. These efforts also follow the introduction of the eCash Act in March, which the eCash stands for electronic currency. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, electronic currency and secure hardware. So I was right. I just got a couple of words wrong, but I was right. Called the eCash Act. So the eCash let's get to the point. The electronic currency and secure hardware, the eCash Act, which would develop an electronic version of the US dollar for use by the American public. And this innovative legislation would promote greater financial inclusion to maximize consumer protection and data privacy. So this sounds good. This include people that don't have bank accounts and this and that and the third. But it's all around to pretty much check on what you're spending your money on. And that's why one of the experts of this this topic, the digital dollar or the digital currency, I believe it was Michael Greco. He said that this currency is much more effective and safe. And what makes it effective and safe is the fact that they can see where the money is being spent at, or this currency is being spent at, and what people are buying. That's what makes it safe. Just to say that, now, so let's go back to the main part of the article. So, the introduction of the eCash Act in March by Representative Stephen Lynch D. Mass, the bill, which was co-sponsored by 3 other Democratic lawmakers but not passed by either chamber, would call on the Treasury Department to take steps towards implementing a digital currency minted by the government. The reality is that cash, that is physical currency, is on its way out. In practically every economy in some countries, the use of cash is already plunging, and I suspect the day will come, even in the U.S., when currency is not used anymore, said Ezra Prasad, a professor of trade policy at Cornell University. So all of these experts are seeing where this is going. And what they're saying is that there's not going to be a use of the physical currency anymore. And this is all done by design. This is not done by accident at all. Okay? They've conditioned us to not use cash, to swipe your cards. When you get on transportation, when you get inside of a store, you swipe your cards. Or you swipe your phone now. Okay? So again, this is to condition the subconscious mind so that people can transition to the idea of getting an implant. And by choice, many have undergone that, getting an implant. All right? And those that are implanted are out there promoting the benefits, the so-called benefits, I would say, of getting an implant. How you don't have to take your wallet out. Okay? How you don't have to take your keys out to unlock your doors, or to lock your door, or your car even. All you have to do is swipe that little hand of yours that's been marked up. It's all you have to do. So these people, like for example, there was this guy by the name of Brandon the Lady. He got a Tesla car, and he got himself chipped. And not only did Brandon the Lady get his chip for the sake of his car alone, but he could do other things. He could actually open his house door, if I can remember, with that same chip. Even though it's a Tesla chip, but he was able to do a lot more rather than it being used for his Tesla car. So you've had a lot of people, or a reasonable amount of people, excuse me, I keep saying a lot, that's just a habit of me using that word, but there's been a reasonable amount of people that have been chipped, and they've been promoting it. Like for example, there was another person that's known as the Chip Lady, and she garnered a lot of attention on Instagram. So it only takes a very few people to get this mark, to promote it, and once people see it and they like it, a lot of people are gonna undergo that procedure and get the mark. And plus, they've made films way before these times even came about. These times to come, where so it's predictive programming, and as well as transitioning us to that way of life. And that's why they came up with these gadgets in the first place. It wasn't to make life easier at all. It was so that we can be implanted, so that you can be tracked and traced. And also you using those currencies, and they can also find out what you're spending money on. And they know where the money's at as you're spending it. And with that implant that you have, they can monitor you as well as a person, because they see you as well as these powers. They see us as resource, as you have the term human resource, and they're gonna show that once they get this world in the fullness. But it ain't gonna get to the fullness. The Lord is gonna allow them to do what they have to do in fulfilling Revelations 13 and 16, and this place is going to be destroyed. And that's as far as it's going to go. So I just want to read the book of Job 20, and we're going to begin by reading. We're going to get to the point Actually, let me begin by reading verse 4. Knowing thou not of this of old times, since man was placed upon the earth, that the striving of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung, and they which have seen him shall say, where is he? So the excellency indicates where he's at right now, where they have this technological world and that kind of sort of thing. When they bring this mark, that's going to be the apex of Esau. And then once it gets to that point, then we already know that the third world woe, which cometh quickly, is going to be in the midst of that. And those that have undergo that procedure of taking the mark, they're going to be destroyed according to Revelations 14:9 to verse 10. Okay? Because the missiles are going to come and destroy this place. So they're not going to see the laboring that they're brought forth to formulate this technological world. That vision is going to fail. The thing that they hope for in their vision is not going to exist. It's just an imagination that the Lord is deceiving them by. Or with. Excuse me. So now let's go all the way down to verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. In other words, a position of difficulty. And every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And the wicked is not literal. It's referring to those that are labored under him. And that's referring to us. And let's look up this word wicked, because some of you may not even know that. So the word is amal, which is laborer, sufferer, wretched ones, labored, workman, sufferer, toiling. So there you go. So who's the toilers of this world? The Israelites are. All right. So we're going to come upon this devil. We're going to tread under this devil after this devil is destroyed through the Messiah. So now let me get that prophecy as well. Isaiah 26 and verse 6. The foot shall tread it down. I could read this too. Verse 5. You know what? Let's read verse 4, man. Trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Yahweh is everlasting strength. For he bringeth down them that dwell on high, and the lofty city. He layeth it low, even to the ground, and he bringeth it even to the dust. And the foot shall tread it down, even the feet of the poor and the steps of the needy. So this is in cohesion with the prophecy of Job 25 and 22. And who are the steps of the needy? Us. So let's go back to Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, and every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So that's referring to us, which the word there should be laborer or laborers. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. And what is that rain talking about? What is he going to rain upon him? Those missiles of mass destruction, which came out of the thoughts of J. Robert Oppenheimer and Albert Einstein, which were the Smiths, which were the men that the Lord used to create those wastes to destroy. As it is written also, as it gives it away, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bull still shall strike him through. That's why they have underground bunkers, because they're wishing to escape that missile or the missiles. But in that being the case, they're going to come out of those bunkers, as it is written in the book of Amos 9, that the hand shall take them. In other words, we're going to take them and slap chains on them, and they're going to be our slaves. And all of the most richest people on the earth, and as well as the powerfulest people on the earth, they're going to be taken as slaves. They're going to be the ones in those bunkers. That's why you have these bunkers in a luxury setting as well. Okay? So they're not going to escape their judgment. But the point of the matter is back on topic. The digital currency is right here, and they're rolling it out. And you have many experts that can tell you this. if you get into these kind of articles and watch these videos, all right, and they all agree, and we already know anyway because we've went over these articles and we've seen the trends of that regard. You know, we see countries all around doing the same, and now the U.S. is gonna begin to do it. All right, and as well as the UK, as we're waiting for as well. So that's all I have to really say in this video. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh Bashim Shai Bashim Rakah Hakwadash. With that, I'm out. Shalom.